1. Trivia knowledge. I know a lot of obscure facts. One day, a coworker challenged me by saying, "If you're so smart, why don't you come to the Legion's trivia night?" I'm no longer allowed at their trivia nights after beating everyone so badly. 2. In high school, I was the city fencing champion, both in the youth and adult categories. During a physical education class, my coach, who was also my personal coach, called me up to demonstrate techniques. One classmate didn't understand that I wasn't picked at random and started talking trash, claiming he could probably beat me in a duel. He actually wasn't bad for a beginner, so when he got the chance to spar, I wiped the floor with him, taking pleasure in the process. Afterward, my coach congratulated him for holding up well against the city champ, which totally changed his attitude. 3. At a medieval fair in 2002, the carnival worker running the fencing game picked me out of the crowd because I was tall and challenged me to a duel with the master. Most people probably fall for this, but when he handed me the saber, I handed him a crushing defeat. 4. While I'm not an expert in push-ups, I've been in the fitness industry for 20 years and work out regularly. At a party, mostly full of hipsters, a guy, who had been drinking a lot, dared me to do 20 push-ups as fast as possible for $20. I won and took the $20. Another guy challenged me right after, thinking I might be tired, but I beat him and earned another $20. A few minutes later, a third guy tried the same thing, and I made an easy $60. 5. I have a PhD in genetics and have published papers on viral vectors in large populations. Every single anti-vaxxer and COVID conspiracy theorist drives me nuts. Also, someone once asked me at a social event, if 2 white Americans go to China and have a baby there, will the baby be Asian? I was so shocked, I spit out my drink. 6. I'm a female mechanical engineer. My life mostly involves people questioning my expertise. 7. Color is something I'm very particular about. After working for 20 years as a commercial printing press operator, I can spot the smallest differences in colors that most people can't. Edit. The upvote is orange. The dress is blue and black. 8. I have perfect pitch, which I can't turn off. It's just how I perceive notes, much like how red is clearly distinct from green. During music class in junior high, my teacher explained that Mozart had perfect pitch, played a note on the piano, and asked if any of us could do the same. I raised my hand, and when I answered correctly, the teacher thought it was luck. After I kept getting it right, including when facing the other way, he tried with different notes and chords, but I was right every time. That's when I learned perfect pitch is actually quite rare. 9. A friend of mine used to ride a unicycle as a kid. While working on a construction site, he saw an old unicycle and joked about how easy it looked. The other workers laughed, but one of them bet him $100 he couldn't ride it. He jumped on and rode it down the street like it was nothing. 10. As a history graduate, pretty much everyone thinks they know more about it than you. It's never ending. History repeats itself, and those who study it are just helpless observers. 11. I've been wrapping my family's Christmas presents since I was young. It's an activity that helps me channel my perfectionism and anxiety. At a company Christmas party in my late 20s, we had a blindfolded gift wrapping contest. My competitors were talking about how fast they could wrap, but I knew they were in for a show. I wrapped the box in record time, fancy folded the ends, and earned the title of Wrap Master and a $10 Starbucks gift card. 12. I'm a physical education teacher, and one day a student took a bad fall and hit her head on the wall, showing clear signs of a concussion. Her dad showed up, and I explained the symptoms and treatments. As I went on about concussions, I noticed my principal trying not to laugh. Turns out, her dad was an ER doctor, and I had just given him medical advice. 13. A colleague challenged me to a shooting contest after work, not knowing I've been competing in air rifle shooting since I was 13. I've made it to national finals multiple times, and came 3rd and 6th. We went to the range, and I wiped the floor with him. He ended up buying me a fancy bottle of whiskey, and now we shoot together regularly. 14. Back in undergrad when the video game Halo was released, I wasn't really into gaming, but my boyfriend was, and we played a lot. So much so that we even entered a few college tournaments. Years later, I was at a party with my husband, and they were looking for a 4th player for Halo. I volunteered, and though the guys weren't thrilled, I wiped the floor with them. They eventually teamed up to take me down, but I still crushed them. The whole party ended up watching us. I've played chess since I was a kid, and was the best in my middle school chess club. One day, the guy who owned the pool hall I hung out at bet me I couldn't play chess. I beat him soundly and then did it again in a rematch. 16. I spent 7 years working in manufacturing in China, and since returning home 3 years ago, I constantly get people explaining why manufacturing could easily come back to the US. I tell them they're completely out of touch. 17. I used to compete in fighting games worldwide. One day, I went to a bar near work, and they had an SNES set up with Super Street Fighter 2. A guy started bragging to his date that he was the best SF2 player ever, so I challenged him to a match. After 12 games, I was hammered, and he finally gave up and left. I don't even remember how I got home. 18. Not quite the same, but I once learned to play the Moonlight Sonata on piano. Years later, while working as a chef in a fancy hotel, the head chef made fun of me, saying I couldn't play the piano. I decided to act confident and played the only thing I knew, the Moonlight Sonata. He was stunned, and I never told anyone I could only play that one piece.